Hello and welcome back to another episode of a weekly Waypoint. This week, Rocket League. I don't think I've ever done Rocket League in a weekly Waypoint, but it's one I've always kind of wanted to put in here, so it's kind of weird that it took me 5 years to get around to it, if that is indeed the case. Good lord. I was playing casually the other night, and I was winning games left, right and centre, and then I was like, I'll record some matches for the weekly Waypoint, and I just lost like 5 duos in a row, so I was like, fucking hell, I'll try trios. I prefer duos typically, but I don't play a lot of Rocket League, don't expect any good plays, I guess. I mean, you know, these are 2 matches that I recorded because I did decently in them, and because they went well, but also, like, you know, you're probably going to see some fumbles like that, and this one coming up right here where I accidentally flipped the wrong way and completely missed scoring the goal. Luckily that other guy was also right there. But yeah, I haven't played Rocket League in a few years, I feel like now, and it's because Fortnite Crew decided, hey, I guess no one's playing Rocket League, so you get the Rocket Pass for free if you subscribe to Fortnite Crew because it's all under Epic. And I was like, you know what? That fucks. I'm downloading Rocket League and working my way through that because I've never spent money in this game, but I've always kind of liked for the cosmetics side of things. So my car probably looks pretty basic to people who play this game a lot. And to be honest, I didn't exactly put a bunch of thought and time into it, but, you know, I enjoy Takumi. I enjoy rainbows and unicorns. I mean, who doesn't, right? And Mario, I've got like the little Mario star. I mean, no, it's just a star. Mario did not invent stars, turns out. But turns out I should chase the algorithm more because I put out that new Super Mario Bros. DS video thinking nothing of it, and it's got 100 views all by itself. I haven't posted it anywhere or anything. I'm like, oh, I was confused at first. I'm like, oh, right, it's because the Super Mario movie is still kind of trending. It's been like a week or 2 since it came out, but you know, that's probably why. But yeah, what's been going on with my week? I feel like I'm in full Star Trek fixation mode. I feel like if I'm enjoying, I'm not going to talk about it too much because I've already talked about it in previous weeks, but if I'm enjoying Star Trek this much, like the original series, the 60s ass stuff with the, you know, funky models and the rampant misogyny. Oh my god, there was some really cringy lines of dialogue in an episode I watched the other day. I think they were talking about a new yeoman and she had some kind of blossoming romance with Scotty, and Kirk was like, I don't like it, and then McCoy's like, well, you know, women, they leave the surface after they fall in love to go and make a life, and I was like, Jesus! But besides all that, besides it being a product of its time, yeah, it's just fucking bloody good sci-fi. So, as I've already mentioned, so I'm thinking if I enjoy the original series this much, then I can only enjoy the next generation even more, right? Then again, as does happen with my attention span, it may randomly just wane one day, but I'm sure I'll get back to it if I do drop it. I think it helps that I'm not recording a thoughts per episode, because that can, as I learned with classic Doctor Who, very quickly turn something fun into something work, but I do plan on recording a general thoughts on video when I'm done with the 3 seasons before moving on to the animated series. I don't know how I'm going to tackle the movies yet, but I do want to also watch the movies, preferably around the times when they were released between the shows and stuff like that. I've been hearing lots of really good things about season 3 of Picard. Apparently the first 2 seasons weren't amazing, but season 3 was like really, really, really good. And I love the premise of Picard, this like sequel show of like going back to the original cast like decades later and seeing where they are in their lives now, and you know, creating a new narrative, a new drama within that era of their lives, and seeing, you know, how they've changed and where life's taken them and how they approach situations differently and that kind of thing. So I kind of had the end of Picard spoiled for me, but I'm kind of okay with it. Don't assume that I know everything about the end of Picard, though. Don't write that comment that you're gonna write like, oh my god, I can't believe you know this thing, because it might be a different thing to the thing that I think I know. But yeah, I'm kind of like a late blossoming Trekkie at this point. It's like how I got into Marvel comics in like my early to mid 20s. I'm getting into Star Trek in my late 20s. Is it around a time now? I'm turning 28 in a couple of months. Do I now start saying like, oh, I'm a 20-something because I want people to think, oh, he must be like 23? I mean, I do kind of have a youthful face going for me. I've always kind of looked about 5 years younger than I am since, I mean, it wasn't a good thing back in the day, but when I was like 16, people thought I was like 12, which is kind of unfortunate. unfortunate. But, you know, it's benefiting me now, baby. Speaking of which, well, that's not really speaking of which, but speaking of my face, which I took to places yesterday, I saw some friends yesterday as of the time of recording, so that was lovely. Went to town. Had a giant milkshake called Death by Chocolate, which I could not finish because, you know how on menus sometimes they'll be like, oh, the big one is 2 pints, but then the regular one, we're just going to call it regular, and then they bring it out and it's like less than a pint, and it's not really worth the money. I thought that was going to happen, so I got the 2 pints. And, yeah, I really am just telling you a story about a milkshake I had yesterday. Deal with it. It's my show, Lamau. Anyway, they brought it out and they were like, yeah, I upgraded you because I made too much, and I couldn't fucking drink more than half of it. Or I could have, but I really did not want to feel sick on the bus home because, you know, travel sickness is a thing, and I'm a bit of a vomit comet sometimes. Anyway, it was nice to see some friends. And if you're thinking, wow, this guy talking about how he saw some friends the other day as if it's like a big deal that he went out, he must not really get out much, then ding ding ding, you hit the nail on the head. I'm an introvert, baby. Although you might not think it based on how much I talk and put out content, but I guess I'm a digital extrovert, but a like real world introvert. Is that a thing? In terms of video games, I've been continuing my Oblivion playthrough this week. If you have not checked out yesterday's Oblivion video, you don't have to like get caught up on all the Oblivion videos. You can just start there because it's the beginning of a new quest chain, and it's when I start the Dark Brotherhood stuff, and I think it's one of my favorite videos I've ever made. It was a lot of fun to record, and it was a lot of fun to edit. Although I didn't really put too many like quirky edits in there. That's not really what I mean. I just mean it was fun. Anyway, that was a while ago. As I've already mentioned, I'm still kind of working through the Fighters Guild. I've slowed down a little bit on playing Oblivion. You don't have anything to worry about. I've still got like 3, 4, maybe even 5 videos in the can to edit for you. But instead, I was lured away by the prospect of Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. For those of you who do not know, Kingdoms of Amalur is kind of a hack and slashy RPG. It's like if you took Oblivion and Skyrim, gave it more of a, I hesitate to say cartoony, a brighter aesthetic. And you replaced the combat with more of like a third-person hack and slashy kind of combat thing, you would have like a pretty decent idea of what Kingdoms of Amalur is. It's a fairly old game at this point, and the remaster isn't really a huge remaster. I just kind of wanted it on Xbox, and I got the version that includes the Fatesworn expansion, which is an expansion they made like 15, no, it's not 15 years, but it's many years after the game actually came out. I might have seen someone mention a decade. I don't know how old that game is anymore. It's a game I've never finished, but I have sunk a decent amount of time into it. You know, a bit like Oblivion, I guess. But it's a lot of fun. And I just really felt like playing it, and I'm playing it. How do I do this making commentary interesting thing again? I am running a finesse/sorcerer build, which basically means I'm a rogue mage. The game very much encourages you to kind of like have 2 specs at the same time. I don't know how to explain this. You kind of have a dual class system. That's a fucking better way of saying it. Will I edit out the wrong way that I said it? No, because I'm lazy. Actually, I'm not lazy. I just think it lends itself to more quirky commentary if I leave that in. But yeah, I was looking up a guide, and it was like, hey, the kind of like, I would say, best like damage output, like the way to make the game easiest for yourself is to kind of do this like finesse sorcery build. But I kind of like playing roguey type characters only in those kind of like immersive RPG games like Elder Scrolls games and Kingdoms of Amalur, because it's really fun to like pick locks and do crimes and see how the world reacts to it. But that's pretty much the only kind of go-to rogue area I have in my gaming or fantasy life. Normally I'm either mage or, as I am in Elder Scrolls Online, big burly angry orc man with giant axe. His name is Brakosh, and he is very dangerous and very handsome. But yeah, I kind of messed up because one of the achievements in that game is to beat it on hard mode without ever lowering the difficulty, and I made my save in 2021 back when I was like, I'm gonna buy Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning, and then immediately was like, I don't feel like playing this right now, and refunded it. When I bought it again, I was like, I'm gonna keep my save, and that was a mistake, because is on normal mode and I can't get a hard mode achievement. But you know what? Not everything's about achievements. Sometimes it's just about having fun. So I've decided to continue with my save instead of repeating like 5 hours of content, and I will leave the hard mode for, I don't know, 2027, when I'm like, hey, you know what I want to play? Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. Or maybe at that point it'll be Re-Reckoning. They skipped Re-Reckoning for marketing reasons. But in my original playthrough on PC, I remember I think I got to Webwood and I owned a house, and I think that's pretty much where I left things off. So I kind of know where I got to. But Kingdoms of Amalur, the game design of that game, is very much like... It's definitely like single player open world RPG. It's got like immersive elements you would normally be able to get in an MMO, but it does have some MMO-y design. In a good way. I think it's fun. It just strikes me when I'm playing it right now how much it feels like I'm just playing another MMO, which is fine because I enjoy MMOs. Although, you know, it doesn't have like the grind or anything like that, don't worry. It's kind of got like level scaling like Skyrim does. You don't really have to worry about that. You'll understand more if you play it. Like, I just mean in terms of the way the quests are designed and distributed throughout the area. And I'm like, do I really want to read all this quest text? Is this all really that important? And like, I don't really feel like reading all the books either and getting into the lore. But yeah, it's kind of an older game, and it's kind of like an alternative to a more popular game. So it does have some pain points in terms of, you know, inventory management and stuff like that, but it's fun and you should play it. You should drop what you're doing right now and spend, oh, it's not on sale anymore, you should spend £60. Is it £60? It probably is. I wouldn't spend £60 on this game, don't do that. Anyway, it's pretty fun. In other news, in regards to the channel, you may have seen me live streaming LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga the other day, and I just want to say, unfortunately, I'm not sure you should get your hopes up, because when I was streaming it, it seemed to be going fine, but when I checked it at the end, I was getting some weird blocky artifacting later on in the stream. Like, earlier on it wasn't there, and later on it was, and the thing about this is it was so blocky. I'm suspicious that it's my PC. Well, it's a long story, but my PC kind of has some issues with it. It's not really at the point where I think I need to take it in and get it repaired right away. Like, I'm kind of going to see if I can wait it out or tinker with something. It's got like a 2-year guarantee on it after all, and I've already contacted the people who made this handy dandy pre-built, and they've already kind of said to me, like, yeah, if it's not causing too much of an issue, just use it until it becomes more of an issue. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Anyway, I think because sometimes like I get little screen glitches, not very often, but occasionally if it's been on for a long time and like I'm watching YouTube, usually when it's video playback actually, I'll get some little pixely squares appear on my screen a couple of times, and I don't know, something about the blocky artifacting and the way the strain it put on my PC, it makes me think it's to do with the way my PC acts up. So I might test it a bit more here or there. It literally could just be that as it got later into night, because I did quite a late stream, my internet does tend to slow down later on at night. I don't really know why, so it could have just been that. But at the moment I'm in this kind of weird headspace of I don't really want to push my PC too hard in that direction if it's just going to exacerbate issues further down the line. I don't know if it would or wouldn't. I just kind of don't want to be fucking around worrying about my PC, you know. I just want to be able to play my video games. So I might test streaming from my Xbox natively like I used to do, because you can actually get some pretty damn decent quality from that. The only problem is I'd have to use my headset mic, but yeah, I don't know, just something to think about. It is frustrating to be back in this realm of I'm not sure if I can live stream again after so long of being in that space and then feeling like I was finally out of it and then taking that for granted and now it's gone again. But I don't know, man. I don't know, okay? Listen, I have a brain that's a little bit funky. Sometimes simple solutions to things feel like impossible, so that's cool. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Anyway, that's enough of that. In other news, got a king getting marinated or some shit this week, and apparently he's gonna want us to all say an oath about how we're gonna fucking revere him and his line, and I just want to say, fuck off. It kind of amazes me that in 2023, when people are struggling to pay like their most basic bills we have this guy who's like, you know what I want to do? I want to buck the trend, and for the first time in history, force people, well, I guess they're not going to force people, but ask people to, like, literally pledge fealty to me wherever they are. Like, while I have this, like, however much, is it like £100 million, like, coronation? It's like, oh my god. So if you're wondering how things are going here in England and you don't live here, that's kind of how things are going here in England. I think abolish the monarchy is currently trending, and I'm not going to provide comment on that other than to just go, you might be able to tell this, but I'm not much of a royalist. If you are, that's fair, you know, do what makes you happy. I'm not gonna, you know, something I'm realizing as I get older is, yeah, I can disagree with people's beliefs and not ruin their day about it, and just be like, that's them, that's fine. Like, activism is important, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying not to be loud about issues that you need to be loud about, but also it's kind of tough to live in a world where you're at odds with like 90% of a population over different reasons. So yeah, there's that, I guess. Anyway, I've just been given some food because I'm privileged enough to be able to eat food, so I'm going to go now, and I'm going to eat that and prolong this outro instead of trying to think of something interesting to say. Look at me doing these spinnies. Gosh, I am a silly little battle car, aren't I? Thank you very much for watching. Feel free to leave a like if you liked the video. I keep forgetting to say that, but I do be meaning to say it, so I've said it. And I will see you next week. Goodbye.